All right. So good morning, everyone. This is David Grafton, an intern at Bad Elf and a master's student in Geographic Information Systems at ASU. And today I'm excited to present how augmented reality can take your asset mapping to the next level with my colleague here, William Wing.
Hello, my name is William Wing, small firm here in the Valley, Infinity Land Surveying. When we say the Valley, we're talking about Phoenix. A lot of people don't know when you first get here, you're going, what Valley? But anyways, I grew up in New Mexico, graduated from New Mexico State University with a land surveying engineering degree in 2003, and been working here in the Valley ever since.
So have you ever wanted to look through the eyes of a registered land surveyor? If so, your dreams are about to come true. Augmented reality and high accuracy GNSS now provide usable solutions for the AEC industries. Recently, with the explosive evolution of augmented and mixed reality devices, surveyors and civilians alike are now able to review geospatial data in ways never imagined before. This presentation shows how augmented reality, otherwise known as AR, combined with high accuracy GNSS, is being utilized for real-world scenarios and situations. So today, our plan is to walk through a traditional boundary survey project. We're going to use AR technology to help stake out property corners and establish the boundaries of the parcel. Fence lines, utilities, and other topographic features are also inspected using this innovative technology. With the instant visual feedback you get from AR, you can receive instant visual feedback to catch flaws in data and ensure its accuracy. Come see how you can implement creative workflows for your industry with AR and GNSS. So the traditional approach to performing a survey relies on using printed and digital maps in conjunction with specialized equipment. Augmented reality allows you to bring the map to life by placing objects in your world. VGIS offers proven ROI and other tangible and intangible benefits. It's easy to adopt. VGIS and the Bad Elf Flex are compatible with the majority of devices. It's easy to deploy. VGIS runs in the cloud, eliminates the need to configure servers and buy expensive hardware. And together with the intuitive operation of the Flex, integrating the two is straightforward. So you can be up and running in no time, both in the field and in the office. Plus, there's no manual data conversions. Using VGIS, it integrates natively with a multitude of data sources, which eliminates the need for manual data conversions, which saves you time and resources.
Yeah, and don't be scared off by the change the way you survey. Surveyors, are notoriously not into change, but I mean, if you look at history, you look at the way we've adapted to GPS. That's kind of when I came into it, and we had that kind of that old saying of they didn't trust it and you didn't want to change. But really, it's a tool to help you be more efficient and it change for the better, and it's not that scary.
So to introduce the Bad Elf Flex, we feel it's a perfect companion for AR. It delivers customers a comparative advantage in the total geospatial solution. You receive a single GNSS receiver, which removes the need for deploying multiple devices in the field. Surveyors and their crews now have a scalable accuracy survey-grade receiver. GIS managers can focus on flexible field choices for work clues with varying skill levels. Businesses obtain operational and financial efficiencies. The Flex effectively offers you several products in one package with a disruptive pricing model through flexible software and configuration. Tokens can be purchased on a daily basis to unlock RTK mode with your local course or VRS network when you need it, or if you require an RTK survey grade rover for more than 30-40 days a year, consider our Extreme bundle. For decades, site surveys and field data collection have been using the proprietary vertical stack geographic information system solutions. At the time, having a single vendor for combined hardware, software, back office, and server-side components made sense. Today, many GIS professionals and firms are finding these systems too expensive, cumbersome, or rigid to support the requirements. Cloud-based server technologies can be deployed in minutes with no server hardware costs. Mobile platforms such as the iPad and Android-based tablets are doubling capacity on open and innovative third-party app ecosystems, and there is no way a proprietary single vendor system can possibly keep pace. Bad Elf receivers democratize GNSS and economize field data collection. Are you operating in metro areas? Battle Flex provides Submeter capability for GIS use, perfect for your GIS field crews. Do you need to record precise locations for underground or above ground assets? Enable extreme mode and use the precision RTK with the Battle Flex app, built-in Ntrip client. With proper usage, your field crews can achieve centimeter accuracy in minutes.
And this was tested by me in the field using my conventional equipment and other GPS equipment until I didn't really want to use it until I was good to go with it. And so it's checked.
So you can easily, as Will just said, get survey grade accuracy with Battle Flex. So you can avoid drifts. Using VGIS or other AR apps, a huge problem is drift. Although it can certainly be used in the absence of a high accuracy GNSS device, the use of one such as our Flex makes the workflow significantly more streamlined and just painless and easy to use. The calibration process is simpler. Without a high accuracy GNSS, you will have to pinpoint your location from above and then manually adjust your heading. You can simply just walk forward a few paces with your Flex, and then you're good to go. Once you begin your survey without a high accuracy GPS, it will be necessary to adjust misalignments, position errors using the adjust feature, or maybe you have to recalibrate altogether if the drift becomes severe enough. In contrast, using the Flex, the app will stay calibrated provided you keep the receiver in the same location relative to the phone or tablet to view the app, and follow suggested best practices, which include ensuring an accurate orientation during calibration. Obviously, a good calibration is very important. Or walk in a straight line if possible while you're doing your survey, and then check your position before making turns. While VGIS's technology allows even standard smartphones and tablets to achieve satisfactory results, connecting to the Flex will allow you to achieve survey grade accuracy you desire, up to 1 centimeter real-time horizontal accuracy, which is 5 times more accurate than what you get from your built-in smartphone or tablet hardware. So this allows assets to appear on your screen where they are in reality with confidence. This also creates a better data collection, which is a new feature in VGIS. So you can just point and shoot, edit attributes, create position adjustments for any errors, and do point line and area data collection.
Yeah, and Dave he'll get into the calibration later on in the presentation, but this stuff needs to be done in the office. You don't want to be doing this when you're out in the road, especially in the right of way. But the power of it when you're in the right of way is huge, because it's going to save you time from searching for things that you might not normally be able to see that you can see in VR. And it's pretty when you see it in real life, it'll set you back a couple steps.
Very true. Other apps can also be used in tandem with the Flex and VGIS. It's very integratable in your workflow. Other apps such as PointMan, Field Maps, MicroSurvey can help supplement your data collection and provide alternative visualizations and data collection methods.
Yeah, so when you're coming out to do any kind of boundary or a topo or a right-of-way survey, obviously your research is the most important. This is going to be what all your calculations are based on. Those calculations in turn are going to be figures in the app, in your VGIS app. So, always do your homework. You got to start with good information to feed into the system. And, you do your research. Obviously in a boundary situation, we're pulling every deed. In a right-of-way situation, we're pulling every deed that crosses that right-of-way, and we're creating calc points so that when we get to the field, we've got an idea of where these points are. There could be a multitude of obstacles in the way, but being able to see this, see through a fence or see through the bush or what's on the other side of a wall, you now have the power to do it. But you really have to, do your homework. Don't leave that part out. It's just fundamentals of surveying.
So I'm just going to run through how to get a project set up in VGIS really quick to show how easy it is. The first step is just to set up a layer group. You're just going to give it a unique name that will appear in the app just to make it stand out. And you can also optionally assign a color. Next, you add your actual data sources. This is your data file, your source data. Again, you just choose a unique name and description, so it's easy to identify within the app. And yeah, so these are basically all your most common GIS file types, CAD. So you have your BIM files, your Esri feature services, your DWG, DXF drawings, KML, and if you have a CSV, it's a fairly straightforward process. Just transfer into a KML or shape file that can be digested by the app. So then next, you configure your elevation data. This applies to everything grouped together in a layer folder. So there's a couple different options for this. You can either do the default and just have the system recognize if it's Z enabled or not. If it is Z enabled, the base for the elevation calculations will refer to sea level and whatever the vertical datum is. So otherwise, you can use a surface offset, which refers to the selected digital surface as the base for the elevation calculations, or you can ignore the Z value completely if your data does not contain them, or if you think that there's a reason that they're erroneous. So next, you want to choose your datum, and we'll explain the importance of that.
Yeah, you really want to be careful with that. Make sure you know what your client wants, what your deliverables are, which datum. Are they NGV D29? Are they NAVD 88? Here in Phoenix, the city of Phoenix actually uses NGVD 1929, and I've seen it, cause a multitude of problems because they're about almost 2 feet different in elevation. So just, really make sure that you know the datum that you're working with, and it'll keep everything a lot safer.
Yeah, knowing your datum is definitely very important. So for configuring your data, this is how it's actually going to appear in your app. So you can set any color you'd like for your 3D object, and then you set your layer group to group objects to turn them on and off again on some more complex jobs. You don't want too many layers modeling up your screen. If all the layers are either a certain height above or below ground, you can set a default depth for elevation. And positive numbers are just above, negative numbers are below ground. And you can also select the object shape and size. So you can configure the appearance of your assets exactly how you want them to make it most intuitive and easy to use when you're out there in the field mapping your assets. And finally, you create your team. So you want to create a team for each job. You can set your default coordinates, and the app will automatically zoom to your job location site, allowing you both to preview using Google's Street View, how your data looks and how the site will look before you actually go out into the field. As well as when you're out there, it will automatically zoom to your area of interest. And finally, to send your invites to your team, they should all have the app downloaded to their device, and they just simply open up the link in the email and they're added to the team, and then they're ready to head into the field.
All right, so preview your property corners before you go into a field. This is a great feature to have as a surveyor before you get into the field. You can use the 360-degree view feature to preview the site before traveling there. Obviously, when you're dealing with right of way, you never know what you're dealing with. So, not only does this give you a safety advantage, but it just gives you a little, some breadcrumbs to know what you're going to be up against when you get there. And also, if there's any obstacles that might be in the way, you've got an idea of this going into that. If you need to maybe you need some traffic control plans, and now you have a visual that you can, use to get that accomplished. So, it's part of our workflow already. We use Google Earth and some different features, but to have this already geo-referenced into your control, I mean, it's really nice. So
very convenient.
Yep.
So yeah, once you're in the field, after powering on your Flex, just connect it to your device via Bluetooth. On Android devices, you will have to enable mock location mode, but mostly the setup is extremely painless. Start up your Battle Flex app and enable extreme accuracy mode with RTK by loading a token if necessary if you didn't purchase the extreme model. $25 or less per token. The Flex delivers flexible survey grade accuracy when you need it, or you can purchase the Extreme bundle to receive maximum accuracy all the time. So the option's yours. Choose your desired base station, either manually or with 0.1 navigation. Ensure everything's connected and you're good to go. Next step is to open up the VGIS app, but first, Will.
Yeah, and just one thing, just always keep safety in mind. When you're out there, if you're having to do a calibration when you're out in the field, you know, you get your head down in that thing. You need to really be aware of your surroundings. So always keep that in mind when you're working in a virtual world, that there's things in the real world that can hurt you. So just keep aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially here in Arizona. You'll get poked by a cactus if you're not aware.
You get poked by anything.
Yeah, so to calibrate the app, you have your Flex connected already. So you just wait for the green light to pop on in a couple seconds. You complete the wall calibration by following the AR line drawn as you see on the left here. And you just walk forward to calibrate your heading, just a few paces. And when you are moving around the site, you can see on the right here, you configure where you have your GNSS mounted relative to your device. And you're going to want to keep that constant just as you move around the site. So yeah, move in a straight line, keep your device in the same location relative.
So once you get calibrated and you're ready to go, you know, we mentioned change the way you survey, but we're not changing the fundamentals of surveying. So just like with, you know, any other tool that you're using, you need to check in. So you want to identify pre-existing monuments. Best practice is to use a published coordinate. So our workflow consists of always starting with an NGS published control point. We check in on that point and we try to check out on it. If you've set some control on site the day before and you've checked out on that point, then obviously the next day you can check in on your control point that you've set. But just keep that in mind. You know, don't get away from the fundamentals of surveying to keep your measurements precise.
Precisely. So for identifying monuments, so having a visual reference of a monument search point or hidden there can be very convenient as you're moving around a site. Using the sources you upload to VGIS, you get a visual reference. So this can drastically speed up locates, saving time and money. In a study, 80% less time and also 80% faster understanding of the locations of the boundary points was recorded. And so it really speeds up your understanding as well as your actual locations of the boundary points. VGIS also has GNS and RTK integration designed for high accuracy up to 1 centimeter applications, so good for survey grade. VGIS high accuracy positioning methods manage the user's position and direction user times that compensates for drift with optical tracking and IMU as we discussed earlier. So it maintains calibration fairly well, very well in my opinion. So
yeah, and it's a great tool for right-of-way projects where you're not sure which side of the fence the right-of-way line is on. Maybe you're not sure which side of the right-of-way line some utility poles are on. So with this tool, you can visualize that stuff without having to take, you know, numerous shots, or even in the design module, you can have your design line work laid out to see, are you going to clear these poles? You know, in the example here, you can see that line going through on the back there, looking like it's going through the meter and the well there. Well, you can walk over there and check your clearance on that. Or, I mean, as a surveyor, one of our biggest, you know, safety hazards is jumping that barbed wire fence. In a right of way, you jump that fence 15 times a day, you know, when the monuments are spread out. So just being able to know if it's on this side of the fence or that side of the fence is huge. So it's a great tool.
So just to understand AR visuals a bit, when thinking about 3D visuals and evaluating 3D objects, you have to consider perspective. So you got to remember large objects that are far away are going to appear identical in size to smaller objects that are close by. As you can see here in the example with the green and red pipe, the green object's larger, but from the viewer's perspective, it's going to look the same size relative to the red, just because in AR reality, you just don't have the visual context that you get in the physical world. So to help solve this issue, you can either, one for underground objects, just draw a dashed line that reaches to the surface to give you additional context of how the augmented reality object relates to the real world. And another way is you can actually move around, which helps you gain perspective, as well as just walk on top of it. And once the dashed line aligns perfectly with the rendered object, that means you're directly on top. So field notes are an important part of any boundary survey, and VGIS provides integrated functionality to track monument characteristics. Notes appear within the AR, so you can get a quick reference of which points you've already surveyed and where they are. For photos, you can take a screenshot from any angle using the typical method for your device of choice. And a pop-up will provide a description of which search point you're shooting to help provide context.
Yeah, and I mean, taking notes is one of the biggest fundamentals of surveying since day one, right? So obviously, this is a great way to record your assets or whatever you're mapping out there, but you can also input your surveying notes into this. So, take a picture of your notes, add it into the app. Now that's just more data within metadata, right? But being able to write something down, on the fly. You can't always take a note, with your phone. Sometimes you just have to write it down, but you can always take a picture of it afterwards and upload it in. And, those little details are sometimes very important on these asset type jobs. So.
So another way to get an overview of the site is just from a top-down view. All your points appear where they are as in any other GIS system. And it helps you gain more context of the site. You can see where you're located and have both your 3D perspective from your typical view as well as a top-down 2D. And any assets will appear on here, so it can help you navigate around the site. So the advantages and uses in a survey workflow, there's many, but let's go over a couple right here. Using the AR app for visual confirmation allows for another layer of certainty before placing your pole on the ground. Markers can often be obscured, obstructed, or occasionally absent entirely. So being able to use the app to navigate provides valuable context when moving to the next location. Buried markers can be seen through the ground, saving time scanning around with the metal detector. Areas that have changed significantly sometimes lack the visual context previously used as a reference. Other times, locations of objects can visually deceive the actual boundaries of a parcel. In any case, though, augmented reality will give you immediate awareness of the situation, allowing you to stay on top of your game. While a traditional survey collectors forces linear movement in one direction, there are scenarios where barriers can prevent movement in a straight line. Since you always have visual confirmation of your destination point in your app, you can circumnavigate the obstacle and not lose track of your relative position to your designated property monument corner.
Exactly. And another nice thing is that it's all in one data collector, right? Your tablet or your phone, whatever you're using, it's the same device to use both apps. So you're not only collecting and mapping with your Bad Elf app, and the VGIS app, but you can switch simultaneously on the same data collector. So that's something that we can't do with traditional data collectors. You're forced into using only what that offers, and then you would have to do the VGIS on a completely separate tablet. So this is all one package. No car batteries, none of that stuff. And in the photo here, I was actually testing it with my equipment to make sure that it was on, because nobody wants to sign their name on something that they don't really, really trust. And so I trust it.
Yeah, so another big advantage is visualization with the client. It allows for easily interpretable visualizations to help communicate results. Instead of trying to explain to them what's written on the deed or trying to translate what you have in your geospatial system of choice, it's a simple visual feedback. The client can actually see for themselves walking around the site exactly what you've reported and the results of your survey are. No training or anything required.
Yeah, it's so nice to put the device in your client's hand and let them walk around and visualize, their design or their future home, or that sewer line really is underneath their pool. I mean, it's nice that they don't have to take your word for it, that you can, show them and let them see it. And also, like, let's, as an example, a protected area. We've worked in areas where you're not allowed to get off the road. You don't want you walking in any of this area. Well, pick your best route to get there by visualizing where that point is and plan accordingly. So it's exciting, all the opportunity that it has. So.
Yeah, another exciting opportunity with this is with a new feature from VGIS called reality capture. And so it uses photogrammetry along with LiDAR, if that's a technology available to you. So you can view asset details after burial. So it gives you incredibly detailed and accurate visuals, and it's very easy to use. Everything's integrated with the app. So you can both record and view all within the app and see the precise location of your assets even after burial. Yeah, so just a quick disclaimer, just how we think the app should best be used. Will?
Yeah, it's a surveying tool. Obviously, you need to, if you're going to be doing any boundary surveying, you need to contact a professional licensed land surveyor, and Infinity Land Surveying in Phoenix, Arizona is always here to help you.
Yeah. So yeah, if ready for questions now. If you're interested in learning more, you can either ask a question now or email us at the provided addresses, or we'll also be in our InSpace booth all day long and be more than happy to talk to you.
Well, thank you, David and William. And by the way, I failed to introduce you formally at the beginning. I kind of passed on to the informal stuff. So let me make up for that now. David Grafton is a master's student at Arizona State University. He's studying geographic information sciences. And he's currently interning at Bad Elf. He has 4 years of experience in the field of GIS and is expanding his knowledge on GNSS technology and the Esri ecosystem every day. Previously, he worked for the state of Arizona in the Arizona Game and Fish Department and the Center for the Future of Arizona, to provide useful and reliable spatial information for the public's benefit. And William Wing is the owner, operator, and CEO of Infinity Land Surveying. So he's a seasoned registered land surveyor in Arizona and New Mexico with more than 15 years of experience. He received his education at New Mexico State University and spent the formative years of his career being mentored by senior survey personnel in the challenging environment of Arizona and New Mexico's vast terrain. Now that I've made up for that, the first question we got from our audience was actually simply to please remind them what VGIS stands for.
Yeah, so VGIS is just Virtual GIS. Yeah, it's the augmented reality app, and yeah, that's the main benefit. Is just it allows you to see GIS virtually, but in your reality in real life. So yeah, very cool technology.
Great. So then 2 other questions. One is, other than surveying, what are some other industries that can leverage augmented reality to improve workflow efficiency?
Yeah, so basically any industry dealing with asset mapping can benefit from VGIS and BattleFlex together with a high accuracy survey grade GNSS receiver. Specifically, I think the most powerful use of it would be underground asset locating. Just by the nature of it, everything's always buried or obstructed in one way or the other. So using VGIS really helps you to locate the precise location and really speeds up locates, and it avoids any mistakes as far as digging into the wrong location and spending time and money and potentially damaging other utilities from digging and not having to locate in the right location. So, yeah.
Thank you. Next question. Is a survey grade GPS receiver necessary to use the app, or is my tablet's built-in hardware sufficient?
Yeah, so as we went over in the presentation, there you can certainly use the tablet or phone. It uses optical tracking and the internal IMU to help locate your device, but it's so much more powerful with a survey grade GNSS. It allows you to do reliable data collection, be more precise on your locates. There's less drift. Overall, it's just a significantly better experience if you're paired with a high accuracy GNSS like the Flex.
But the nice thing is that the accuracy is displayed on the receiver for you, so you know what your accuracies are, and if you need more, you have the ability to buy a token and get sub-centimeter accuracy. So you have it when you need it, and if you don't need it, rock and roll.
You have options. That's
Correct.
good. Why is it important to walk in a straight line with this technology?
So the importance of it, so that's just about keeping everything in calibration and just avoiding drift. Using your high accuracy GNSS, it's less of an importance. It's a good idea to do it if possible. But yeah, just so with the nature of it, while moving around, you might have a couple issues because it does use optical tracking. If you're kind of moving from side to side and whatnot, again, with a high accuracy GNSS, not as much of a problem because it relies more on the raw, highly accurate data than the tracking or the IMU. But it's just the best practice to have so it stays in calibration.
Right. Continuing with questions from the participants, if you had to pick one thing, what is the most powerful thing about combining high accuracy GNSS with augmented reality?
Can you take this?
Yeah, I would say real life visualization. I mean, you can see your design, or where you had a clearance issue or an environmentally protected area that you can't, all these different things you can visualize where you might need to search or where your new design will be in real life. So I would just say, real life visualization has been the biggest component for me.
Great. What is the maximum depth that AR can reach?
That's a good question. I will try to find an answer on that. And then if you want to come by our booth later, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that, about the technological limitations of maximum depth and whatnot. Yeah, I'd love to give you a better answer to that. So I just don't have that information right now.
It's okay. How can I use this equipment to supplement the conventional and GPS equipment that I already own?
Well, that's basically what I do with it. Most land surveying companies are already invested with whatever, brand that they're using. And this is just another tool to help you with it. I use it in the field with my kids. you know, I've got to do my boundary and I'm already invested in my equipment that I'm using, but I can hand my, you know, my 12-year-old daughter the Bad Elf Flex and my phone, and she can go around and collect assets all day long. And, you know, at the end of the day, the data is the data. So it's just, you know, being able to get another tool in there and keep somebody going while you're doing your thing. It just makes a more efficient day. And you can add that into your workflow, and it's just the biggest helper. I mean, you know, you don't always want to take and set up your base and your radio and your car battery and all that. You can pop out of the truck, turn your phone on, shoot a couple water meters, shoot a couple property corners, and, you know, go home and then download that stuff and then figure it out. Then go back out there with, you know, a good idea. You've got your breadcrumbs and you can really make it work. And it's the time efficiency, biggest thing. So
I can imagine when your daughter will be giving a presentation in about 15 years and the moderator introducing her saying, you know, she started it when she was 12. Where do you see this tool being deployed the most?
Yeah, so I really see this tool being deployed the most. I sort of went over this earlier, but it's any sort of asset mapping. I think any underground locates is the most powerful aspect of this tool. And yeah, just be able to sort of use your X-ray vision per se to look through the ground. And because a lot of times in reality, you kind of lack context, and your tools might be limited given the environment. It's just another supplement to really help you do your job as quickly and efficiently and effectively as possible. I think in the underground asset locate specifically, it just provides the most utility, and it just gives you that much more confidence when you're performing your duties.
Great. We still have about 8 minutes, and we'll see if any more questions come in. But meanwhile, I was thinking, could you briefly review sort of at the macro level the workflow, the steps before going into the field, in the field, and afterwards?
Yeah, certainly. Maybe you could cover before.
yeah. So, you know, the obviously, as we were talking about earlier, you got to do your research, in a boundary survey or a right-of-way survey. That'll always start with a title report, and we'll dig through those. You know, there's always documents that reference documents, but eventually it's all some sort of polygon or strip. So we'll dig through all that stuff, draw it out in AutoCAD, calculate the XYZ coordinates, and we'll export those out into a CSV file. And I think, Dave, that's what you like working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we also send him, I have a DWG, I can export that out as a shape file. Whatever flavor your client or office prefers, you can serve it up that way. And so once that's done, Dave will load it up in the VGIS system, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. So it's as simple as just providing the link to wherever your file is located or uploading it itself. And it's consumed quickly and easily. The processing time can vary a bit depending on the size of your file, but typically you can be up and running, 5 minutes total, combined office and in the field, combining, the file upload and the calibration. So it's pretty painless.
Right. And so once he gets it uploaded, comes out in the field, and in this situation, we were also flying it. We were doing a topo, so we're going to set control. So, and I had actually sent him those coordinates. So when we went out there to tie it down, he was able to virtually walk right up to those big sprayed X's in the road and have a visual check right there in the field. And there was a few assets that were in cactus or buried underneath the brush. And we collected those when we were out there. But if we were to go back out there again, it would have been a great test to stake those out, and see if you could see them from the road without having to go chop up that bush. Um, but yeah, so that when we get to the field, we've already got that stuff out there. That day we were also collecting topo through the washes, underneath the trees, any supplemental stuff that you won't be able to see from the air. And again, it's all with the same unit. So, you know, surveyors through the years and batteries and cords and chargers. And I mean, I can't explain how nice it is to just have one unit on the pole and a small data collector that's, you know, text friendly. So then after that, Dave?
Yeah. So after that, after you do your survey, yeah, you just provided, yeah, you took, so Will had mentioned earlier in the presentation that you can combine the notes you take in the field, take your screenshots, your manual notes, and having that that visual supplementation really helps a lot when you're digesting, reviewing the data later on for processing, and having all the symbolization already there. Like you said, we can actually jump back to the survey site in the field using Google Street View after the fact with the full 360-degree view, so you can see, you can get another quick review of your survey and sort of get more context to everything. So yeah, so it helps eliminate confusion, and any sort of inconsistencies would immediately be clear. So
Great. We just have a couple more minutes. Oh, let's see here. Well, just one last question. Would you like to mention any particularly challenging or interesting project that on which you use this?
Yeah, so we had one about 2 weeks ago in Scottsdale. It was a Major League Baseball player's home. Bought the home about 5 years ago. Never got it surveyed, of course. And now the neighbor behind them is building, multi-million-dollar home, and they're trying to tie into this. They're trying to tie into the sewer line. Well, that neighborhood, when they first built it, there was a utility easement, but everybody built their walls to the middle of the easement. So now there's no access back there. There's a manhole back there, and they need to put another manhole in order to hook up this new house. So she calls me and says, I put my wall, it's not on the property line, it's on my side. I said, that's fine. So they had Blue Stake come out there, and the Blue Stake where that sewer line was. And she's going, there's no way, that's not, my property line's not there, but I couldn't stake her property line because there's trees through there, right? So what I can do is I can create her property line virtually to where we can go stand up on that wall and look at the tablet, look down that tree line, and she can see that her wall is clearly, 2 feet on her property, but you can see where those blue stakes are, and they're right on top of where her wall is. And now you can see the virtual property line, cutting through the trees over here. And, we don't have to jump the wall. We don't have to cut up trees. And now she has a peace of mind that, great, my wall really is on top of the line. And, this is a real world scenario where they actually had to create an access easement through the side of her driveway and tear the wall down and get in there and put a new manhole in and replace it all. And then I had to write a legal description for the new easement that's going up the side of their drive. But I mean, just to have that ability to know, she was ready to sue, do whatever they had to do until she saw it with her own eyes that is the property line over there. There's the sewer line right there. Even though my wall's on my property, we have a problem. So.
Well, thank you, Will and David. And we're going to move along now to